Hey guys, it's Rob here and welcome to my Hellboy review. Hellboy was directed by Neil Marshall and stars David Harbour as Hellboy. Now going into Hellboy, I was open-minded like I always am with all my movie reviews. Even after seeing the 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. Even after that horrible trailer and the other trailer that released. And even after seeing the previous movies that are not connected to this Hellboy reboot. I was hoping that this movie was good. And oh my god, I was completely wrong. This movie is not only the worst movie this year, it's in my books the worst comic book movie of all time. It's worse than Green Lantern, Catwoman, that godforsaken Avatar The Last Airbender movie. It's worse than all of those. First off, let's talk about the acting. Actually, you know what? No, let's not talk about the acting just yet. Let's talk about the humor. I kid you not, it has the same amount of jokes and quips as Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And in all of those jokes, in all of those quips, not one person in the theater laughed. Mind you, this was a half-full theater. We had about 30 some odd people in the theater and not one person throughout the whole movie laughed. That's bad. Now let's talk about the acting. And the acting in Hellboy was horrible. The way Milla Jovovich delivered her lines was not just over the top and cartoony. Oh no, it goes much farther than that. It was like she never acted before. If you've ever watched a sitcom where one of the characters tries to act and they're trying out for a play and it's over the top, cartoony, they are just plain horrible and should never act, that's how it was in this movie. That's the way a lot of these characters deliver their lines and act. It's horrible, cringy, and just not a good time at the theater. Now, David Harbour as Hellboy wasn't as bad, but I wouldn't call him good either. His lines were 90% jokes and 10% whining. A lot of times he was just this annoying character who kept whining and whining and whining and threw jokes constantly at you that weren't funny and just fell flat. He also seemed very uncomfortable under all that makeup. In the beginning, I think he could barely speak or even mouth any words because it seemed like it was very difficult to get his lines out. Which, speaking of makeup and CGI, it was the worst in this movie. The CGI, the prosthetics of all the monsters, the overall presentation of the battles, all the CGI in this movie, the transformations, everything about the CGI was horrible. I know I'm being very, very negative in this review. My reviews usually try to look on the brighter side of movies while still giving the negatives, but this movie is just so bad. Now, don't even get me started on the unnecessary blood and the rated R imagery. A lot of times they'll keep shoving this rated R imagery in your face, things getting dismantled, limbs flying everywhere, blood, heads getting cut off, sewn skin, everything about this movie. They're always trying to remind you, yeah, we're rated R. And the thing is, they keep shoving it in your face so much that you start to get sick of it. You're starting to get annoyed of it. We get it, you're rated R. You don't have to keep reminding us. Even the basic story and basic plot structure was garbage. And by that I mean a lot of the scenes in this movie does not make any sense. For instance, Hellboy's father gets captured by Milla Jovovich's character, the Blood Queen. Hellboy and friends of course go to try to save him and stop the Blood Queen. And during this whole scene, he disappears from the scene. You do not see a peep from him. You do not see him on screen at all. And somehow, magically, he gets pulled from the side of the screen only to be killed by the Blood Queen. Where was he? How did he get here? What happened? They don't explain it. And on that note, how does she know where King Arthur's tomb is? It doesn't explain how she knew where it was, and you could say, well, maybe she coincidentally found it. Maybe it was just a coincidence. And on that note, I can say, no, that's impossible. Something that people have been searching for years and years and years and years, and somehow she just coincidentally found his tomb? I don't believe that. And this is another case of it being incoherent. And it's not even the story, it's even the soundtrack. They will randomly play rock music in the background at random times, and it doesn't fit with the scene at all. And if I'm being honest, it ruins the scene. The only thing that I can say that's positive about this movie, or slightly positive, is of course the design of the monsters. Some of the design of monsters actually, because some of the designs of these monsters were very generic, but some of them were actually pretty interesting, and only in one scene. That's it. One scene out of this whole movie was actually decent, and that's how bad this movie is. Honestly, they'll probably add this to Netflix really quick. I cannot believe they had the balls to actually think that they were gonna get a sequel to this movie. At the end, it does end on a cliffhanger, and it's not gonna get a sequel. This is not gonna make a lot of money. The only way I can see this being a sequel is if they make a whole bunch of freaking toys on this character and sell a whole bunch, just like the Power Rangers movies. That's the only way I can see this movie getting a sequel, which I highly doubt kids will buy Hellboy figures. I don't know, maybe they will, but This is just a very, very bad movie, and I think you should not see it. I'm giving Hellboy a 1 out of 10. I honestly thought I would never give a movie that low rating, and that may seem a little harsh, but it is honestly that bad. It is Catwoman bad, it is Batman Returns bad, it is The Last Airbender bad, it is just bad. Stay far away from this movie, and if you're actually curious about seeing this movie, I would say wait for Netflix or Bootleg or something that doesn't require you to pay money out of your own pocket. If you guys enjoy this review, make sure you subscribe and leave a like. My reviews aren't usually this negative. I usually try to look for the positives in movies, but unfortunately I just can't find any positives, or barely any positives in this movie. I'm gonna go watch Avengers Infinity War to scrub my eyeballs of this mess. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next movie review.